So size, I mean, it is what it is.
Size doesn't matter, it's how you use it.
No, in not so many words, yeah. I'm David Flores of Southern Legend Cattle Company, and this is our ranch.
So we've come out here today to get a little bit more up close and personal with some bucking bulls and learn the behind the scenes. And you've been showing me around and showing me all the things that are going on here. And I just got to say, you've got some incredible animals and an incredible place here. So thank you so much for giving me the time and inviting me out here.
No problem. Anytime.
So first and foremost, how familiar are you with combat sports, and are you a fan of the UFC?
I am an extreme fan of the UFC, and I'm very familiar with them. I mean, I do keep up with a lot of fights. I mean, I do support the Irishman. I hate to say it, go Connor. And I mean, I'm a big fan of Cowboy Cerrone as well. And I do keep up with a lot of it. I mean, I keep up with Dan. I keep up with Joe Rogan. I do follow it. I mean, I'm not always at fight night at the bar partying, but I am next morning. Who won?
So you're super interested in the sport.
I am.
You like to follow the athletes. So I'm sure when you heard that Cowboy Cerrone was undertaking this challenge, you were super interested. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it as soon as it came across, it's front row news on me, especially across my social media and a few other aspects of what I do. So as soon as I heard he issued a challenge to get on Twisted Steel, it's like, all right, Bubba, you go ahead and step off in that deep end.
Yeah, so it seems like you are a little bit familiar with Dana and Twisted Steel and obviously Cowboy Cerrone. So tell me your impressions for Cowboy going into this. Do you think his chances are good? Are they bad? What are your thoughts?
He's got a hell of a coach teaching him, but as far as his chances go, I think they're really bad.
So talk to me a little bit about his coach, because combat sports fans may not be so familiar with the PBR stars they're going to be getting exposed to.
He's being coached by JB Mooney, who's a $7 million bull rider, and I mean everybody just.
He's the guy.
He's the man. We call him the Dragon Slayer. If there's a bull that has never been covered, he was the one to ride it, and I've competed against JB numerous times, like I told you earlier. The first time I met JB, I looked up at him, I'm like, and I'm a tall fella. I looked up, I'm like, wow, you're taller in person. And there's a persona about JB when he's on there. He's a regular person, he's smoking a cigarette, and he's chilling out in the back pens, and he's pacing around just like me, ready to get on a bull. But he is being taught by one of the most natural riders, in my opinion, to ever come across the sport. And on top of that, he's not a natural rider. He sits there and says, I don't have the talent. He had to work at it, and he had to build himself up to it. And the amount of try he put into every ride is just, I've seen one other person ride like him that I would even put in the same category as JB. And that was Jess McBride, who's my lifetime hero.
So you got a lot of respect for JB and the camp that Cowboy's putting together going into his bull ride?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, JB just got inducted as a brand new coach to one of the PBR teams. So his coaching career, since his career ended this past year, because he was trying to make his way to the second NFR, and he got hurt on a bull by a buddy's bull of mine, Matt Sharpen. Got hurt and hurt his neck, and it's just everybody wants to hear JB and hear this side of JB. They always saw a little bit of playfulness and everything, but now everybody wants to hear, what's your opinion? And JB will straight up and sit there and say, you got to be Cowboy. So you got to step up and do this. So as far as coaching goes, he has probably the best coach in his corner right now.
Awesome. And with Cowboy's experience in rodeo back in his youth and mounted shooting now, and then just the varied background of being a true athlete, do you think that gives him an edge?
It benefits him. Edge? No, but it benefits him. No one ever really has an edge against a 1,500-pound bull. You try to find that edge, but you don't really have the edge.
So speaking of bulls, I did get to see Twisted Steel in Jacksonville, and one of the things that I noticed about him was that he was just physically smaller than some of the other PBR bulls that were being loaded into the arena at the same time. Do you think that he was specifically bred that way? Is that just what came out in the shoots, and that's what ended up making it to the PBR for Dana? What do you think?
Some of it is genetics. So, I mean, that's just some people do breed for smaller bulls. I don't specifically know who his breeder is to be able to sit there, yeah, they breed smaller bulls. Because I have a mixed herd I have bulls here that weigh close to 2,000 pounds, and I have bulls here that won't even see 1,300 pounds. So I have a healthy mix, and they're all bred differently. The 1,300-pound bull has blueberry wine in his pedigree, as to where my 2,000-pound bull has chicken on a chain in his pedigree. So I can't really, and sometimes it's just a freak of what you have. So size, it is what it is.
Size doesn't matter, it's how you use it.
No, in not so many words, yes. But being a smaller bull, he is snappier, he is quicker, he is faster. It's not so much power, but it is speed.
Mm-hmm. And so now, would you rather try 8 seconds on Twisted Steel or 3 rounds against Cowboy Cerrone?
I'll take 8 seconds any day.
8 seconds any day? So you want to relive your bull riding days?
I want to relive my bull riding days every day.
So if you had to pick a PBR rider to go into the UFC and represent bull riding, who would your pick be?
Oh, as far as PBR bull rider goes, you're talking about guys that would go to a bar just to get into a fight, So, I'd pick like half the PBR to step into that ring.
So if you needed to fill out a team and said, we got to go kick someone's ass, you're walking into the PBR locker room?
No, 100%.
All right, last question for you. I recently challenged Cowboy that if he completes his 8-second ride, I'd let him brand me with the good old BMF custom branding iron. How do you think that's going to feel when that sears itself permanently into my flesh?
It's going to sting.
So I asked you because I saw the video of JB getting branded, and I wasn't sure it was legitimate. Can you tell them that it's legit?
Oh yeah, that's legit. I've seen the brand.
You've seen the brand.
That's legit. I've seen the man enough over the last couple of years. It's legit. Now, are you ready for somewhat of your first bull riding lesson?
Sure.
Come on, jump up on here. Come on, shorty.
Oh, graceful. That'll make the highlight reel.
Dude, pretty sure. Slide back just a hair. Now, biggest thing about it is I want your feet to be in front of your bull rope.
All right.
Toes turned out.
Everything my horseback riding instructor told me never to do.
Hence
Sorry,
why
Megan.
my spurs are the way they are.
Sorry, Megan.
So, go ahead and just for the sheer fact of the audience members of the house, go ahead and put your hand in the rope.
All right.
When you're in the box and you're taking your wrap, you want your pinky right alongside his back. You never want your hand in his back. You always want it right there. When he blows up, his back's going to arch.
I'm going to crush it.
It's going to break your hand. So you want it right there alongside his back. You want to pull it to the desired tightness. Close it. And it's going to come around your hand like so. Going to open it back up and close it again. Normally I stick my hand right there. Yes, my rope's a little big for you. And you want to slide up as far as you can forward up onto the machine. You want to keep your hand, elbow a little bit there, here. Now bow your chest and pretend you're Dolly Parton and tuck your chin. Now you want to pull yourself forward and get off your ass muscles. And you want to stare right there at the shoulder. Bring you down just a little bit, and when I come forward, I want you to reach. And then come back, and when I come back, you want to come back to here. You never want to come back here because it throws you off balance. Reach when I come up, here when he goes down. Reach, forward. And I'll show you. Reach, forward. Reach, forward. Reach. Bring it back to me. When I'm up like this, come back here. of any bull ride. And the thing you got to remember about riding bulls is he might be going in a circle or turning tight, but it's a forward movement. So you always want to move forward with the animal. Some bulls do move backwards, but that's a rare bull. So you always want to be moving forward with him, and you never want to get behind him. When you fall behind, you're going to go out the back door. So what do you think of it so far?
Feels good.
Feels good.
Feels good. Fine.
Well, maybe here in about a week or so, we can actually get you on the back of one and actually let you experience it for the real time.
I'm ready.
Good deal.
It takes a little bit more to throw me.
Listen, you can go ahead and undo that. But yes. But yeah, we'll get you on one.
Yeah.
We'll put you on Clever.
Okay. I'm down.
He ain't mean, he ain't nothing. He's gonna come out. Oh, look, you're off. Bye.
So this scares me a little bit with the tie. So what do you guys do as far as getting out?
When you're tied in, your first bull will be what we give you called butterfly, which is be folded over like that. So that way you don't get hung up, you don't take a chance on getting hurt until you know how to react in that situation. Now, when you actually take a wrap, which is where you come around, you fold it over, close your hand. When you're ready to get off, you're going to come down here, you're going to find the tail of that rope, and you're going to pull up on it, and then you're going to look the direction in which he's moving, and you're going to jump. You're going to throw the leg over and come off.
Okay. So
And
just
yep,
up and over?
just up and over.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Goal!
Woo!
But that's pretty much the basics of it, and it's not always, oh, I'm going to land on my feet or here, because if you land on your feet, in my opinion, you're not trying. But you are going to hit the ground. Exactly. But half the time, it's more or less, let go, it's going to come off.
Now, when you're wrapped in, once I let go of that, it does release. Like, you can feel it. I'm
Exactly.
sure when you're going and everything's crazy, it's a little
When
bit
you're
different,
going, it holds you in there, especially when you have rosin on it. Now, the way the rope is designed, you don't want to get, if you're riding left-handed, you don't want to get off on the right. You want to try to exit out the left because you have that much rope to your left and no rope to your right. So you always want to try to step in, but if he's spinning around on a left-hand turn, you don't want to just step off in the well, because if you step off,
he's coming at you.
He's meeting you in that tight spin, and you're gonna eat him. You two are gonna kiss, and you're gonna kiss hard. Now, if he's going to the right, then you try to make it controlled as possible. And normally, by the time 8 seconds is up, he's pretty gassed. You're gassed, and both of you are all looking to get away from each other. And because not all bulls want to sit there and look for you. Oh, I'm going to eat you alive. There's one or two of them out there that will head hunt you, but for the most part, the bulls just want to buck. They want to find that out gate. They want to go back, because when they get back, they get put on their trailer, and we're going to go eat. So it's not, oh, we're going on the trailer and we're not going to get food or water. No, we're going to go and we're going to get rewarded for what we just did. Win, lose, or draw.
No, those PBR bulls go straight back into the chute when the gate opens.
Oh, yes.
They're like, we're ready to go.
Yes.
Let's get out of here.
That's something we also take very pride into our training. When we take them to the arena, you have to know where the out gate is, because I don't want my bull roped. One that stresses him out, that holds up the show, and a bunch of other, a lot of bad things can happen when you rope the bull. You got to think, these bulls aren't just chump change animals. I got bulls out here that are worth $50,000, $60,000. They're worth just as much as my truck, my horse, my house. So if I take a chance on him getting roped, he can break a leg, he can break his neck, he can hurt his esophagus. So much can happen. So he has to know where that is. Now, I can't sit there and say when he's under the bright lights and in that setting, if he's going to find it right away. But if you prepare for the best possible outcome and prepare for the worst and hope for the best, you're going to land somewhere in the middle. And the PBR also really loves it when the bull just gets up and goes out. It makes the bull look that much better. Because, we don't got to chase you around for 10 minutes and rope you, because normally there's only one horse there. You don't have any backup to helping you get the bull out of the arena. It's just you. And all around, it's safer for you, the crowd, everybody else. This is a 2-inch offset, American style bull rope, super block, made by JWE Bull Ropes out of New Mexico. This rope right here was designed primarily by a world champion bull rider by the name of Mike Lee. because most bull riding ropes run completely straight. This one is offset just a hair. So when you're on the bull, instead of being cranked over straight, it relieves pressure off your wrist and your arm, giving you more pulling pressure so that you can pull and push away and towards the bull as you're in the ride. Because not every ride is the same. Every ride is different and every bull is different. Some bulls you want to pull yourself closer to, and some bulls during the ride you need to be able to push away from him. And then as soon as you're pushing, as soon as he changes it up, you got to be able to pull back. And this rope relieves the pressure off your entire arm just enough to give you just that little bit of edge. Granted, there's also cons to this rope to where if you come off the wrong way, you're going to hang and you're going to drag. And it's going to be a bad day. And I have learned that personally when I was riding bulls back 4 years ago professionally. So, but this is a really well-made rope. It's still, I mean, you go to JWE if you are interested in getting into bull riding. He makes some of the best ropes. The turnaround time is probably about 2 months because he is braiding so many. But the quality and the time it does to last, I mean, that you'll see 300-400 rides out of a rope that your regular rope you buy from a store, you'll only see about 100. So, I mean, really well made rope. I also did some customization to myself because this right here is the body. It's X stitching. It helps it from twisting and turning in any way. It keeps the rope straighter and helps just, it makes it a lot nicer when tying as well. It's all nylon. Then you got your wear strip up here. And yes, I had a piece of nylon braided into the tail because at one point I was hanging my spurs up into it because the tail of the rope is braided a lot more loosely than most ropes because it's softer, and when it pulls it shrinks and it lays in the hand a little bit nicer than most ropes because it just folds right over your handle to where it's not wider or smaller. It's just the right mix. But this is all customized too. Every rider is different. This is where your rosin goes, which is a mixture of pine sap. Some guys make their own where they'll add alcohol and other mixtures into it to make it stickier and more pliable. And there are some guys out there, you just take a little bit of the stuff and you're going to sit there and you're going to hang. You want it to be sticky because there's a lot of force and a lot of pressure trying to pry your hand open, and you need every edge possible to be able to hang on to that animal. The cowboy, I promise you, when he gets on Twisted Steel, he'll have rosin on there, but it won't be as sticky as some of the Brazilian guys or even mine when I was riding, because we don't want to see a legend get get hung, and can be really bad, and not so many words, if you're just to sit there and hang. Because on a little bull like that, he's quick, he's fast, and if you don't know how to react in a situation like that, it can be really bad.
Tell me about different grips too, because Cowboy's gonna have to modify. He's got wrist injuries.
Well, with this right here, with this design right here, I broke my arm back in probably my second year of riding bulls. I had a displaced fracture to where I couldn't roll my hand so far over, where I would suggest an offset for him rather than a regular normal bull rope that's ran straight. Because like I said, it relieves pressure to where you're not cranked over so much, and I'll demonstrate that on the dummy when we get to that point, to where when you're just over just a little bit, it puts so much force on you. Now he has wrist injuries, so where it's cranked off to the side a little bit, it'll release that pressure to where he has more power to be able to ride and to be able to push, pull, do what he needs to do. So if I was sitting there doing it, I would start him off in a regular bull rope probably for that first couple weeks. Then I'll move him to a 1 inch. Then I'd finally move him to a 2 inch and get him a full 2 inch offset just to compensate for that wrist injury that he had.
Awesome.
PBR spurs, mine are a little different. Mine aren't as long shanked as everybody else's. Mine are really short shanked. These are the PBR bucking bull rowels that are required by the PBR. That way it doesn't do any damage to the animals. It doesn't cut the animal, doesn't hurt them or anything. but it gives you enough grip to where it can catch the hide and you can get yourself a grip and bring yourself back to the front. Other riders have a longer shank and more off to the back rather than mine to the side. But because I rode horses also professionally and was brought up having something called equitation, I ride bulls with my toes turned in rather with my toes turned out because it's like riding a horse. It's never going to go away. It's something I do more often and do a lot more. So my spurs are turned off to the side to where I don't have to work as hard to be able to keep them into the animal.
Mm-hmm.
And these pair of spurs they were made when I was 18 years old, and I'm 34 now, and they'll last a lifetime. They were made by Brendel Beater. Probably the best $150 I ever spent on a pair of spurs.
Mm-hmm. And do you think Cowboy, coming from more of a mounted shooting style of riding prior, would benefit from a piece of equipment more like that rather than the longer shank?
Knowing his coach being JB rode with really long shanks, and by the time the long shanks came out, I was already on my way out of bull riding, as far as riding the bulls rather than breeding and raising them. So I'm pretty sure JB's going to have him set up to where if his toes are turned in, but knowing Cowboy is a cowboy, his toes are going to be slightly turned more out than what I was because I grew up riding English rather than Western. So him having the long shanks shouldn't really hurt him as much as what they would hurt me. And on top of that, it's also muscle memory and repetition. The more you do it, the better you're going to get. So,
and for the amount of time he's going to be training, it's going to be whatever he's been training in is what he's going to be comfortable with.
Exactly. And knowing JB's probably going to have him in not as long as the shanks as what JB rides in, but probably a little bit shorter. Not as short as what I am in here, but it's going to be enough to where if he knows what he's doing, he's going to get the job done every time. All dusty from the last time I rode, all moldy, because I rode in a wet arena. You have the bull riding vest, made by Phoenix. It is Kevlar. It is lightweight. There's other vests that are a lot thicker than this one, but because of how I rode, I was a balanced rider and I used a lot of core. I did not like the thicker vest because I couldn't move. It limited my mobility. I'd rather have less vest and more mobility than have a lot of vest and no movement because of how I rode. Then along with that, you also have your chaps, which a lot of guys on the semi-pro and pro circuits don't use a lot anymore because one, they can't afford them, and two, they don't want to mess stuff up for when they do make it to the big shows. But these right here, they add flash, they add flair to this sport, and on top of that, they hide mistakes with your feet that the judge sits there and looks for, because a lot of the score comes from how well you're in control of the animal when you're on top of them. And I'm not saying you're in control of the animal at any time, because you're not, but they want to see you in control of your body. And if your toes are turned in, turned out, things like that, the chaps hide that to a degree to where you're not looking at their feet, you're looking at the flare, you're looking at the gloss, you're looking at the metallic. So they do help y'all, and they do add some protection to you when you're in the box. Not necessarily when you're out in the arena. I mean, if you get hung up, they can help you stomp you loose because it gives something the bull to step on to help pull you down. But most of the time when that happens, you're out $600 because they leather tears.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's pretty much the bull riding gear right there. Here's an El Toro. This is one of many different versions of, I shouldn't say mechanical bull riding trainers out there. This is more of a use your own body momentum to use it, but it's one of the multiple ones out there that for the lower budget guys out there can afford so they can train at home. Guys like JV Mooney and things like that, they have more mechanical ones to where they can have in their room, their garage, where they're on it every single day. This is more or less for your average Joe Schmo, I'm a weekender, I'm going to train, I want to get better type of bull rider. And as you progress and you get your sponsors, then you can sit there and end up getting the better thing.
Equipment.
Exactly. Sorry. I love the El Toro. I was introduced to this about 15 years ago by Lyle Sankey, who's an NFR bull rider and also world champion. Loved it ever since. I highly suggest if you are getting into bull riding or want to learn more about it, this is something to go and buy. It's not necessarily the cheapest out there, but it is worth every penny. It's weather resistant and it will last you a lifetime.